chalk this one up to, what? Are you okay over there, Netflix? You got the money to be throwing us around here? Apparently in a recent either investors call or just some interview, the head of Netflix, one, admitted that their movies are bad, which I think is really, really funny and accurate. But two, they said that they're trying everything in their power to get Christopher Nolan under the umbrella that is Netflix. And I'm going, keep dreaming. Or is there a chance of that actually happening? Now, we know Christopher Nolan, as far as filmmakers go, is probably the hottest free agent on the market ever since he made his intentions very clear. He ain't working for Warner Brothers and HBO Max anymore because he straight up called them the worst streaming service. And yeah, I don't think he's wrong entirely. It's a bad race between HBO Max and Peacock of who's really the worst, because at least Peacock is working on improving, except for WWE streams, but whatever. I have a hard time believing Nolan will go to Netflix, no matter how much money they throw at him, just because he's been such a vocal anti-streaming thing. I don't think it's just an HBO Max thing as much as he was pissed that they screwed him over with Tenet. He doesn't like streaming. He wants movies to be seen in a theater, which I can respect. But at the same time, what's the Malcolm in the Middle meme? The future is now, old man. Like, at a certain point, either adapt or die. And I do worry that Nolan, as much as I love him, can be a little too set in his ways. I'm going, you're gonna basically pass up a really big payday here, and you have the chance to add to the prestige of Netflix or give it prestige in your definition. I just don't see this happening. I think you and I have talked about it before. We could see him going to like an A24 or Universal, but Netflix, he's just been anti-Netflix for so long. But then again, Spielberg is working with Netflix now, so I don't think it's completely off the table. What do you think, Josh?
Off the table. It's off the table because somebody who hates streaming, like, honestly, dude, if you're going to call HBO Max the worst streaming service, Netflix is not that far off from HBO Max. If you think that Nolan, who loves movies in theaters, is for some reason going to make a exception for Netflix just because for money, no, sir. Absolutely not. We have a guy here who is like, I'm going to make a movie about intergalactic time travel and use black holes and that have never actually technically been seen before. So, whatever. I'm just going to do that because I want it to be shown on the big screen because that is the best way to watch movies. I don't think he'll make any kind of compromise for Netflix of all companies.
Yeah. Also, here's the hard pill to swallow, even for a big Nolan fan like me. And maybe this is just how I'm observing it. I'd like to see if you agree or disagree on this one. I don't think Christopher Nolan has as much weight to throw around in terms of these negotiations as he might have in the past. I don't think he's still one of the highest profile names in Hollywood in terms of directors that like even the casual person knows. People know like Christopher Nolan, Steven Spielberg, J.J. Abrams, and a couple others. He's a high profile name. I don't think he's as big of a name as he was about 5 or 6 years ago. I think Tenet's reception, has hurt his reputation, but also I don't want to say how he approached Tenet might have hurt his reputation a little bit, but I think it might have, of going, this has to be in theaters. I don't care that we're in a pandemic. This movie's going to cure the pandemic, and people will rush out to see it. And I think that was entirely misguided. Like, we were clearly not in a state as a country to see Tenet, but his insistence, I think, was not a smart move. And I think he might even say so. But just over the past few years, here's where I get all the Nolan fanboys to hate me. I don't think Christopher Nolan has had a truly great movie since Inception in 2010. Because Dark Knight Rises is fine, but it's Josh's favorite movie of all time.
It's trash.
We've got Interstellar, which has some impressive visuals, but to me it falls apart in that final third. Dunkirk was okay, but it felt more like his early stuff. Then you've got Tenet, which is probably his worst movie to date. So while he's not making bad movies, he's not making as high profile, like, oh my gosh, dude, from 2008 to maybe around 2011, like between Dark Knight and Inception and Batman Begins and The Prestige, man was like untouchable. He was a god in the movie world. But I think over the past few years, and especially with how Tenet was handled, I don't think he's got the clout that he used to. But maybe that's just my view of things. Maybe he still does have like that power. Make no mistake, he's still one of the biggest names. I just don't know if he's as big of a name as he used to be, and has as much, like, I don't want to say drawing power, but just power in the industry as he thinks he does.
I think the big thing here is that if somebody's like, hey, I'm going to go see a Nolan movie, you kind of know what you're signing up for.
Yeah, you know, emotionally depressed protagonist, but a really good movie.
Yeah, a movie that is head trippy, sometimes unnecessarily complicated storylines,
emotionally distant characters,
terrible fathers.
I want just one Christopher Nolan movie where the main character wears a t-shirt the entire time, just regular street clothes, not a collared shirt and jacket every single time, or has some pretentious British name like Cobb. Like, I love you, Nolan, but you got to do something a little outside of your comfort zone every once in a while. Steven Spielberg did War of the Worlds. It may not be the best, but he tried something different.
Steven Spielberg did War Horse.
Steven Spielberg's a whole other issue of not as great as he used to be.
Unfortunately.
But yeah, I get Netflix's ambition, and good on them, but yeah, I just don't see this happening. He's too set in his ways. It's not like a Spielberg situation where he's teaming up, or at least his company is. But who knows? You watch next week; it'll be officially announced, and we'll just be like, "Oh, come on now!"
Yeah.